I'm Nicholas Kusmich. I run a Facebook advertising agency and consultancy out of Toronto, serving international clients. Whenever I was speaking somewhere or talking to someone, they're saying, hey, well, do you have a book? Or when's the book coming out? Like, it's just peppering over and over and over until I think I just got to that tipping point where, like, okay, now's the time. The universe is aligning. I've been avoiding this for too long. I made this intention that I'm just gonna hammer this thing out myself. That got me about 2 pages deep before I abandoned the whole process. I'm like, there's no way, I don't have the self-discipline, I don't have what it takes to actually write this thing. So then I thought, well, what if I just like get a whole bunch of my random teachings on a topic, jam them together, get someone to go through the teachings and kind of ghostwrite that process. And very quickly, about 2 weeks into that, I realized that was not gonna work either. I think the best word to describe it is like utter frustration. I didn't have a process. I didn't know where to go with it. I just had these random thoughts in my head, and I figured if I just sit down in front of a computer and allocate an hour a day or 2 hours a day and start typing, this will eventually get out. But I run a business. I run multiple businesses. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have all this other stuff going on, and frankly, carving out the time, was proven to be very challenging to do. Secondly, I find that I myself am not a great writer, or I don't perceive the story I tell myself is I'm not a great writer. I have great content, just not a great writer. So because of that, there was this fear, this painstaking frustration every time I sat down at the computer, basically where the cursor is taunting me and like, come, like, go ahead, let's see what you got. And I'm like, oh my God. So, it got to the point where, so really I was about prepared to just abandon the whole thing and say, you know what, book's not in it for me. Nicholas Kusmich will never be an author, and I'm okay with that. Like, let's just move on because it's not worth the pain to actually try to get this thing done. A lot of my friends and colleagues had been through the process. So that in and of itself was great. Knowing Tucker as the guy behind the vision of the thing gave me a lot of confidence. I'm not gonna take advice from someone who's an Amazon bestseller and we're gonna teach you to be an Amazon bestseller, which is a thing right now. People are promoting this. No, I'm gonna take advice from someone who's been there, done that, done it multiple times, done it for other people, who are in my space, people that I know, like, and trust, and see what happened with their books. I mean, all of that together just really at that point made it a no-brainer for me. I was blown away by how dialed in the process was. I mean, day one, you're gonna have this conversation with so-and-so, we're gonna build out an outline based on what feels good about you. Great, got that done. Next, you're gonna have some conversations with such and such, your editor, who's gonna like really pull the content out of you, some interviews, and then we're gonna work on that. So the process was surprisingly painless, surprisingly fast, and surprisingly accurate. We did some speaking with EO, so Entrepreneurs Organization. Started with speaking at the Fort Worth chapter, which then led to me being a speaker at their Global Leadership Conference this past year, which is to all their chapters, which has now led to a 10-city speaking tour in the Middle East and Africa that's coming up next year. And all of that was, if not all, partly attributed to the book. But if I had to actually like substantiate it, our 2-day experiences are a $10,000 experience. We've gotten at least 20 people through the book to be involved with, because we'll always ask, what's your first point of contact with us? Often it'll be the book, which then led to other pieces of content, which then led to them coming. So, 10 grand times 20 there. An agency client is worth approximately $100K a year to us. I would say 4 or 5 have come as a result of the book. Consulting clients are worth anywhere from 25 or 50K to us. At least 2 or 3 came as a result of the book. So gosh, do the math. It was a decent ROI, I'll tell you that much. I'd given a talk, I had my books with me, and we were handing out books to people who wanted them at the end of the talk. In the audience was a founder of a billion-dollar company. If I mention the company, every single person would know exactly who that person is. Great, humble man, but I don't think he would have given me the time of day under any normal circumstance. But in this case, he lined up, and humble dude, he literally lined up in the whole long line of other people who didn't quite know who he was, and just said, "Hey, I'm interested, and I'm looking forward to reading your book." He didn't say I liked your talk. He didn't say necessarily I want to do business with you. He said, "I'm interested in reading your book. I'm looking forward to reading your book." That's when I think it kind of dawned on me that the credibility piece on having a published body of work like that actually carries some real weight to it, because I don't think that would have happened without the book. A young man who's about 17, who's a server, not at my table, but the server at another table, like shyly made his way over to the table, and he goes, "Mr. Kusmich." I'm like, "Oh shit, like, if you're calling me Mr. Kusmich, something's wrong. Nobody calls me that. Like, did I not pay the bill? Like, what's going on there?" And he just said, I just want to thank you for your book." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm 17, I'm a copywriter, but in order to pay my bills, I have to be a waiter here. But I think because of what I've applied from your book and from your other work, by next month I can quit this job and I can pursue my dream of being a copywriter." I remember just going home that night being like, oh my God. The crazy part is, and this is what I realized, that's probably one of many stories that I'll never ever hear about.